say it's pure, but we don't consume it. That's the dominant view. The dominant view amongst the scholars is that it can't be consumed if it's been tanned, but it is pure. The second point is important here. This is maybe where Sharia scholars need to work more with and collaborate with the science community as well, different laboratories, etc. Because it can be found today that the liming process used for making gelatin today fulfills criteria which would make that gelatin in the ruling of tanned skin. If you go to the next point. And I've discussed this already. The majority views that it can't be eaten. Imam Shafi considered that you could have the possibility of eating the non-zabiha meat gelatin in this situation. His view would follow that. Okay, carry on. Now, we also conducted a test with and this relates to Pakistan as well, that the PCSIR laboratories, they did a test for us regarding gelatin. If it was manufactured and you did a liming test on it, would that hide be considered as tan? And if you look at their comment on the next slide, so the lime treatment is effective in controlling microorganisms in the buffalo hides and is being used for preserving skins and hides the world over. So according to the science, the gelatin being used can't be consumed, but it is pure because it's in the ruling of being a tanned skin. Okay? So however, when we came to do the certification, we put all the science and the Sharia points on one side and said for safety and for the Muslim consumer, we're not going to use non-zabiha, even though it might be pure. So we asked them that you have to clean the machine out. Before you do halal production, you have to clean the machine out, and I'll talk about how as we go on. The reason why they were using different detergents is because obviously the machine's got fats and oils from production, so they can't get removed just by water. They needed different detergents. And so what we said was that you can't use alcohol-based detergent. However, if you did, then you can wash it out with water, and that would be sufficient for us and halal certification, and I'll talk about that very shortly, quickly. There are a number of hadith as well as verses in the Quran mentioning about the purification aspect of water. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that we have caused water to descend from the heavens, which is purifying, not just pure, purifying. And there's a famous hadith which I don't really have too much time to go into. If somebody wants to get the reference, they can do, where it mentions specifically that if there were pots, for example, of nuhas, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that if they were contaminated with meat of the pig or unslaughtered animals, what do you do to clean them? Wash it with water. Water is a means of purification for everything. طُهُورٌ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Carry on. So that's our policy at HNC. We seek, that they clean the machines down with water. Carry on. Now the machine that they were using for packing, when we came to certify, we found the whole machine was covered with alcohol-based detergent. Go to the next slide. That was the one they were using, PQ4, and it had all the alcohol-based things in it. So at that stage, the certification stops there. All parts were subsequently cleaned using water before sweets were packed. This process of washing with standard water was then made a standard for packing on this machine. And the key point, which I think everyone should take home from this presentation as well, this non-conformity had occurred even though the firm had been informed and agreed in writing not to use alcohol-based detergents. And they had emails indicating that they would not do it until we came to do the certification and we found, for whatever reason, that they hadn't complied. So if anyone ever wanted to know why do we need to monitor and check these organizations which are producing halal, this is enough evidence for us. Okay? And that is the same point that it underlines the importance of being present for inspections during production. It's not enough just to say, okay, your ingredients are fine, we certify you. You need to check the process and the production itself. Otherwise, things like what we just discussed, they're going to happen. Okay, just to wrap up before time does run out, the storage and transport, the practice being followed, we can ensure segregation of all products. The halal ones are made, but there's sometimes a manufacturer, they're producing other products which are not halal, so we ensure that they're kept separate and identifiable to eradicate cross-contamination. Separate storage area for halal products is to be promoted to reduce cross-contamination, and it's a standard policy. You go to the website, the Soil Association, they keep their organic products separate, and they keep other people's products separate. So similarly, we've decided that the halal products are kept separate, they have their own shelving, and then they keep the other products which are non-halal, they keep them separate as well. So there's no chance of a mix-up. Okay, we finished. Okay, last point about transparency. This is very, very important. A lot of people are confused as to what halal means. Consumers are confused, Muslims are confused. Correct. Next slide. Non-Muslims in particular should be informed of what the term halal means. This guidance is more important in the context due to the absence of a universal halal standard. We don't have one. Whole Muslim world doesn't have a fixed definition as to what constitutes halal yet. People are working on it, but we don't have one. So non-Muslims, Muslims, confused generally. Correct. Okay, Evlex report was conducted in the UK, where they checked the understanding of Muslims in terms of what does halal mean in terms of meat. Carry on. I'll just mention 2 points. 50% of the Muslim respondents believe that having other animals in proximity to the slaughter invalidates the meat as halal. Totally wrong concept. 40% believe that buying meat from a non-Muslim would render the meat unacceptable. Again, people not clear. So the benefits for us in halal auditing and the halal industry that we need to be transparent, tell people what halal is, and then hopefully they'll be able to tell us if there are problems with their product, and then we can help them straight away. Okay, carry on. And one last point we'll conclude with before I just finish here was that the two take-home points in the message really. One is that we need to be practical in the audits, and secondly we need to be transparent. And with those few words, inshallah, I'll conclude.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request the co-chair of the session, Professor Dr. Fakir Anjum, Director General, National Institute of Food Science and Technology, University of Agriculture, Faisalabad, Pakistan, to share his observation on the session. Professor Dr. Fakir Anjum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chairman of this session, Anjum Rashid sir, Director General, NAB, Ministry of Science and Technology, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is really a prideful privilege for me to give some concluding remarks about this session. In fact, in this session, the excellent presentations were given by our honorable speakers. They have highlighted the issue about the importance of the certification. As in the morning session, it was mentioned that Pakistan is a Muslim country. Our population is about 180 million, and we consider that what we are eating, what we are producing, what we are manufacturing, that is halal. But the situation is different. When we say halal, simultaneously we say that halal and tayyib. In the halal, there are certain set Islamic rules which needs to be followed to have the food halal, but at the same time it should also be tayyib. For tayyib, when we talk about the international scenario, the food safety standards, all the food safety standards, even the latest ISO 22000, that is also in compliance, that is also in the one word tayyib. So if we follow halal and tayyib, we can build the confidence not to our population but internationally. There is a $3 trillion market for halal food, but unfortunately, share of Pakistan is none. So in order to exploit the international market, there is a need to build the confidence so that what we export that must have the halal standard. It is very heartening to say that the non-Muslim countries like Philippines, Thailand, they have the halal centers. They are working day and night to promote this halal, not in their country but in the other Muslim and other countries as well. But in Pakistan, we are still lacking towards the scientific knowledge for this halal and the certifying bodies on which all of these presentations have been given. The certifying bodies from Thailand, from Philippines, or from United States, they are working not only in Pakistan but they are also working in our other Muslim countries. So this is a very solid state of this, that being Muslim countries, we have none of the certifying bodies which can certify and which can have the validity internationally to say that yes, we have certified it and it should be recognized as a halal food. So there is a lot of distance which we have to travel to get the distance. Because the time is very short, I would mention that for halal food production, we have to look all nutrition from farm to table. So when we produce any food crop, it should be the halal. When it is transported, stored, or when it is processed, all the material which is used for handling, for processing, it should be halal. And the most important, the ingredients, though these are used in a very minute quantity, these should also be halal. And these can only be granted if we have the validated certifying bodies. Though we have the mushroom growth of certifying bodies in Pakistan, but we should, there is no mechanism by which we have the registration, certification and regulation of these certifying bodies. So this is the food for thought out of these presentations, that we must have the certifying bodies and that must be regulated by the public sector, and these certifying bodies should have the credibility which can be recognized internationally through our product. So ladies and gentlemen, we must go for certification of our products, not only for export but even when we are importing. We should also look into the processing, the ingredient used, so that we may be sure that our consumers are having the halal. So thank you very much for asking.
Thank you, sir. And now I request another co-chair of the session, Brigadier Ahmed Reza Siddiqui, Chief Operating Officer, Faisalabad Industrial Estate Development and Management Company, to comment on the session. Brigadier Retired Ahmed Reza Siddiqui.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. While listening to the speakers of this session, I was taken back into the history, and I could not but remember Allama Iqbal Rahmatullah alayh. And unfortunately, when I hear things like that, I have to refer a few verses of Allama Iqbal. For example, talking of trillions, $3 trillion trade, talking of certifications that is internationally recognized and unifies the code of all these things, were very elaborately brought out by certain speakers. ले गए तस्लीम के फर्जंद मीरा से कलीम, बुनियादे कलीसा बन गई आगे हिजाज. They have carried out all the research. They have developed the trade. Brazil is doing that. Thailand is doing that, other countries are doing that, and Pakistan and the Organization of Islamic Countries are still looking forward to making a unified code for halal. That's very bad. उन लोगों ने इकट्ठा कर दिया, हम लोग अभी तक टुकड़े टुकड़े हुए, हमें यही नहीं पता हलाल क्या है हराम क्या है। थोड़ी देर पहले खाने में बहस हो रही थी, घोड़ा हलाल है कि हराम है, घोड़े की ये नस्ल हलाल है, घोड़े की वो नस्ल हराम है। तो अभी तक हमें घोड़े का नहीं पता चला, तो और हमें किसी का पता चला। सो वी हैव टू अगेन, वो इसलिए, एंड व्हाई आर वी सफरिंग बिकॉज दैट, बिकॉज वी सफर फ्रॉम एन इंफीरियॉरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स। Whatever comes from the West, whatever comes from any non-Muslim, we take it as an authentic thing. Again, I would say कि भरोसा कर नहीं सकते गुलामों की बसीरत पर, भरोसा कर नहीं सकते गुलामों की बसीरत पर कि दुनिया में फकत मर्दाने हुर की आंख कहती हैं। आपकी जिस दिन आंख बीना हो जाएगी, जिस दिन आप मर्दाने हुर बन जाएंगे, आपके यूनिफाइड कोड्स भी बन जाएंगे और सब चीजें ठीक ठाक हो जाएंगी इंशाअल्लाह। So starting from there, I would really appreciate very nice speeches which were delivered by Maulana Nolakvi, Rana Ayub Sahab, PhD scholar, and Mr. Sarfraz at the end, and in between Mr. Nisar Rahmatullah. Well, Maulana Lakvi from South Africa, it was an assortment of speakers from all over the world. That was fantastic. And all credit goes to the Halal Research Council of Pakistan, Mr. Hussain Mughal, and I must congratulate him for that. The need for halal certification in Pakistan, that is very important. It was an eye-opening speech for me. It is eye-opening speech for me because my children go to the supermarkets and buy common items off the shelf, and it was shown very clearly haram. So probably we all need to educate ourselves and our children that while they go to the supermarket, not only they should not buy these things, they must point it out to the people who are selling these things that these are haram, please take them off the shelves. ये हमारे में से इखलाकी ज़रूरत भी खत्म हो गई किसी को जाके कह सकते। So that is the first thing, and I really grateful to you, sir, for pointing to this thing out. Rana Ayub brought out, he is a PhD scholar in the United Kingdom. He was talking about the aspects of trade in the non-Muslim countries. I must say that his research is very fine. He is doing PhD, but I think we must also take into this fact that there is a big Muslim diaspora in those countries, and most of the trade is directed towards them, not towards the non-Muslims. But anyhow, non-Muslims do not shy away from halal as we shy away from halal. So they are also attracted towards that. Again, Mr. Nisar Rahmatullah brought out a very good point about the unified code for halal certification. As I said earlier, हम अभी तक इसमें झगड़ रहे हैं कि कब्बा हलाल है कि हराम है और घोड़ा हलाल है कि हराम है. And we have to bring out a unified code for halal certification. The sooner, the better for us. And finally, Mr. Sarfraz Mahmood, he gave a holistic view of the audits, and I am sure all of us who are somewhat familiar with the ISO 9000 certifications and other certifications must know and are familiar with the fact that audits need to be very, very transparent and very authentic, otherwise they lose their recipe. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for bringing out such important points, and thank you very much for allowing me to say a few words on this speeches. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I request the chair of the session, Honorable Mr. Anjum Bashir, Director General, Pakistan National Accreditation Council, Ministry of Science and Technology, Pakistan, to give his remarks on the session. Honorable Mr. Anjum Bashir.
Thank you so much, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Justice Khalilur Rahman Sahab, His Excellency, Delegation of National in Pakistan, Muhammad Sadiq Sheikh Sahab, Advisor on Social Sector from the Federation of Chamber of Commerce and Industry, distinguished foreign speakers, local speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon. I thank the two co-chairs who have very aptly appreciated the presentations made during this session and the earlier one. So I would not go into the detail of any of those presentations, and due to this time shortage, I think I'll come straight away to my statement, the official one, which I feel will make many aware of what accreditation is and what we are doing with regard to the halal accreditation scheme. As we all know, for quality, the major two pillars are always the standards and the conformity assessments. The standards are sister organization within the Ministry of Science and Technology called as PSQCA, Pakistan Standard Quality Control Authority. They are responsible for developing Pakistan standards, which usually are not only developed nationally here, but at times for different products and different schemes where we require larger interaction internationally as well as the religious scholars, muftis, etc. They have done a wonderful job and they have developed the standard on the halal food certification, although this would only cover for the time being the food part. The other products of halal, they are still working on that, and as soon as the standard is out, then the next role of the conformity assessment, which is done by the Accreditation Council, would come into play. I may stress on one thing, that why all this is required really. This is an outcome of the WTO commitment made by the government of Pakistan. As they normally create a protection wall through the revenues, as soon as the Doha Development Agenda started, the main focus went towards the free trade regime. Although it has been stalled, but ultimately they were about to achieve that. Therefore, the two major agreements like Technical Barriers on Trade and SPS, Sanitary and Phytosanitary agreements, were introduced. Both these agreements require a national accreditation body to authorize certification bodies for the certification of the products and services. There are a number of certification bodies represented here also, who are doing certification for many products as well as for the laboratories, for instance, for calibration, medical labs, they are doing this certification. But unless they are accredited with one of the organizations which has an international recognition, like one of the participants raised a question of the MRA, which is Mutual Recognition Arrangement. We will welcome them, these certification bodies, inspection bodies, and the other organizations who are interested in this certification, that they may continue the good work. However, there is a great fear attached to it. As soon as in one of these international trading practices, if there is a question on the certification by that particular certification body, unfortunately that would not take them any further in that. They will have to develop their linkage with one of the internationally recognized body, and that can only come through the Pakistan National Accreditation Council, which has the legitimate authority from the ILAC and APLAC, International Laboratory Accreditation and Asia Pacific Laboratory Accreditation, but because of its traceability with them, they have given the authority to issue this certification, to accredit these certification bodies for issuing the certificates. Accreditation is a process under which PNAC, being an apex body established under the Ministry of Science and Technology, accords formal recognition to a body, certification assessment body, or a person to carry out certification for a product or process or service. In this process, international standards like ISO standards and guides are kept in view for ensuring compliance against number of clauses of the standard. Globally, accreditation plays an important role in protecting the customers from receiving low standard product and services and assist international trade for good practices, assuring customers that the conformity assessment bodies are qualified, certified for independent assessment and award certificates. Now, there was a question or a concern shown in one of the questions that probably PNAC has not yet started this process. Although I have been very recently posted there, but I must inform the assemblage here. So far, 48 laboratories have been accredited by PNAC, 5 inspection bodies, 3 certification bodies, and there are 6 medical labs which are being accredited up till now. About the same number is under process, and hopefully we expect to accredit them as early as possible, as soon as all the legal formalities which are pretty cumbersome in accrediting anyone are met and overcome. Ladies and gentlemen, PNAC is operating by following international standard ISO IEC 17011 for halal accreditation. PSQCA developed halal standard PS 499-2010 along with OIC guidelines. PNAC has developed procedure duly endorsed by the sectoral committee as required under the procedure to grant accreditation to the halal certification bodies. This we have recently completed the exercise, and I am happy to announce that it would soon be launched, the halal accreditation scheme by the Minister for Science and Technology through the press, media and web very soon. PNAC, by virtue of its MRA signatory status with ILAC, APLAC, has recognition throughout the world, as has been already said. Hence, PNAC accredited bodies enjoy the status as certificate issued by a PNAC accredited body in Pakistan is accepted everywhere in the world. That is the key slogan. You all need to know that it is extremely important that that particular certification body must have a traceability. Unless that traceability is developed, established, then this certification can be questioned. Ladies and gentlemen, may I also inform you that Ministry of Science and Technology is in the process of establishing a halal board. Now, this halal board will have a good mix of government as well as private sector. We would like this board to have a policy guideline framed for the 2 organizations like PSQCA for the standards as well as for the accreditation. And the work has been started, and it should be established very quickly. Well, at the end, I would emphasize on the trade and exporters who are present here to be very careful while obtaining halal certification from these bodies, because of the argument I have already given you. You must keep in mind that certificate issued by PNAC accredited bodies will be recognized globally, whereas the other certificates could be questioned. With that, I thank and compliment the organizers for arranging such a wonderful seminar. I hope that more seminars could be held in other cities of Pakistan as well, as this is an extremely important sector with such a brilliant prospect of about $4 trillion market. Therefore, we all need to work on those lines. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I will request His Excellency Ishaq Latikonsana, Indonesian Ambassador to Pakistan, to give away the souvenirs. His Excellency Ishaq Latikonsana. And I request Honorable Mr. Khalilur Rahman to join His Excellency. To receive the souvenir, I'll call upon Maulana Malaki, Technological Director, South African National Halal Authority, South Africa. Maulana Malaki. Mr. Rana Muhammad Ayub, PhD Scholar, Halal Food and Marketing, University of Hull, United Kingdom. Mr. Nisar Ahmed Rahmatullah, President, Jummah Mosque Halal Certification Authority, Mauritius. Mr. Sarfaraz Muhammad, Auditor Halal Monitoring Committee, United Kingdom. Mr. Hamid Ahmed, Ex-Principal Scientific Officer, PCSIR, Pakistan. Professor Dr. Fakir Anjum, Director General, National Institute of Food Science and Technology, University of Agriculture, Faisalabad, Pakistan. Brigadier Retired Ahmad Reza Siddiqui, Chief Operating Officer, Faisalabad Industrial Estate Management Company. Mr. Naseeb Ahmad Saifi, Chief Executive Officer, Anis Associates, Lahore, Pakistan. Mr. Riyad Pervez Hulema, Chief Executive Officer, Nile Plus, Mauritius. Mr. Datu Adil Mergubra, Chief Executive Officer, Halal Development Foundation Corporation, Philippines. Mr. Anwar Bey Piran, Managing Director, EMB, Mauritius. I request the chair of the session, Mr. Anjum Bashir, Director General, Pakistan National Accreditation Council, Ministry of Science and Technology, Pakistan. Mr. Naseeb Ahmed Saifi, Chief Executive Officer, Anis Associates, Lahore, Pakistan. Now I'll request His Excellency Ishaq Latifonsina, Indonesian Ambassador to Pakistan, to say a few words. His Excellency Ishaq Latifonsina.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Justice Retired Khalilur Rahman, Chairman Halal Research Council. Honorable Mr. Muhammad Zubair Mughal, CEO, Halal Research Council. Honorable Mr. Anjum Bashir, DG, Pakistan National Accreditation Council. Honorable speakers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to address you here at the inauguration of the second International Conference and Expo on Halal Industry in the great city of Lahore. I would especially like to pay my gratitude to Honorable Justice Retired Khalidur Rahman, Chairman of Halal Research Council, for the kind invitation to attend this important conference as a guest of honor and for the warm welcome. This wonderful conference and expo is certainly a commendable effort by the Halal Research Council of Pakistan to further enlighten us about the fast-growing halal industry and to reflect its tremendous business potential. I deeply appreciate and compliment this initiative to organize this conference for the second time, and it is certainly a great opportunity to learn directly from the experts about the bright future prospect of halal industry in Pakistan and all around the world. I fervently hope that this conference and expo will create more interest, offer new opportunities of collaboration, and attract the prospective businessmen to invest in the lucrative market of halal industry. Distinguished guests, Indonesia, as the world's largest Muslim population and the largest economy among the ASEAN, and therefore offer a huge potential market for halal products. The positive economic indicator of the Indonesian economy, the rising middle income population, and increasing awareness among the Muslim consumers provide wonderful opportunities for business expansion for halal industry. The exclusive halal industry has now been transformed into a mainstream industry, attracting the investors from all over the world. Indonesia is well aware of the importance and potential of this industry and ready to cater its needs, which are not only limited to production and food consumption, but also include products and services. In this connection, it is a very encouraging development that Jakarta will become the center for the world's halal food, with the opening of the headquarters of the World Halal Food Council today. Therefore, I hope that today's conference and expo will further pave the way for investment and joint collaboration with Indonesia as an attractive destination for halal industry. I would also like to emphasize the investors and market players here to focus their attention towards Indonesia as a big market for halal products and to establish long-term business relations with the Indonesian counterparts. In the end, I congratulate the organizers, the Halal Research Council of Pakistan, for the excellent arrangement of this conference and for inviting me here. I would like to thank again, and I wish you all the success for the endeavor for development of the halal industry. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us an eminent and experienced Sharia scholar, Maulana Zahidur Rashidi. We will request him to come on the podium and share his ideas on halal and halal industry. Maulana Zahidur Rashidi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Halal Research Council का शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि आज इस वाक़े में हाजिरी और बहुत कुछ सुनने का और पुस्तक करने का मौका प्रदान किया। सबसे पहले इस बात पर खुशी का इजहार करूँगा कि हलाल हराम का तस्वुर अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह आगे बढ़ रहा है, हर सतह पर, हर दायरे में, हर शोबे में, और ये एक अच्छी अलामत है। फिलहाल नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने और कुरान पाक में जहाँ बुनियादी मज़ामीन के तौर पर अक़ीदत की बात की है, इबादत की बात की है, वहाँ उसी लहजे में हलाल हराम